Hi, welcome to EAC Insight. I'm your host, Anthony Ellis. Thanks for joining us. Our guest today has been advisor to our Deputy Prime Minister, also been an ambassador to the Republic of Cyprus, State of Kuwait, the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, and has been here for the last 2 years an ambassador of the Kingdom of Cambodia, Mr. Martin Varva. He's from the Czech Republic. Thank you very much for joining us today. So you've got quite an experience as an ambassador?
Thank you for having me. Yes, I was lucky enough, and I spent most of the time in the Middle East. Although I cannot say that I'm a specialist in the Middle East, I'm more a practitioner. Mm-hmm. And maybe there is some connection because if you can guess to whom I owe the gratitude that I became a diplomat, to Saddam Hussein.
Oh, really? Wow.
So
that's interesting.
It was the 2nd August of 1990, Iraq's invasion of Kuwait. Mm. And it was my last holiday, in fact, at the university. I did the Faculty of Law. And I had holiday before my last year. And I prepared myself for a totally different career. Mm. I was not particularly interested in foreign affairs, not to speak of the Middle East. Mm. And it's inexplicable, but I don't know why, but this event changed everything. And moreover, if somebody had told me at that time, in 1990, that in 18 years I would present credentials as ambassador to an Emir of Kuwait, who was at the time a foreign minister, and I knew him from television. Yeah. So would I have believed that? So this is for all those students that they may believe sometimes or not. But sometimes, yes, a seemingly fairy tale can be converted into a real life.
Well, I also, from experience, didn't train to become a journalist, and here I am in my 50s now, a journalist. So I think it's just life. Accept it, and what happens will happen, and enjoy it along your travels. And I'm sure because you've travelled all over from Europe to the Arab countries, you've had a great life.
Yes. No, I travel a lot, it's true. Mm. Probably more than I ever wanted. Mm. But the other side of the coin is that I have a lot of interesting experience that I hope to understand better different societies. Yep. So for me, it was enriching. So I don't regret. I would do it again.
So you're a wiser man now, you think, through this experience?
Well, I hope.
Exactly. So with Czech Republic and Cambodia, of course, there's a special bond and a special relationship, of course, with the King of Cambodia. Can you tell us a little bit about the relationship that you've had?
Yes, His Majesty Norodom Sihamoni, the King. He spent 13 years in Czechoslovakia studying. I can safely say that he's the most prominent our student, not only in Cambodia, but arguably worldwide. He was there from 1962 to 1975, and it came into existence very easily. His father, Norodom Sihanouk, he wrote a letter to our president of that time. Okay. Yeah. And he asked him whether we could provide some scholarship to his son, and already at that time his son was a man of art, of culture. And we responded very quickly. So it was materialized, and he did the basic school, then high school, which was a conservatoire, okay. Mm-hmm. And then the Academy of Performed Art, which is the University of Art, basically. Okay. So the whole education was in Czechoslovakia. Yeah. Then he left in 1965. And what I admire, I must say, that it will have been soon 50 years, but his Czech is still as mine.
Oh, okay.
So if I didn't look at him, I wouldn't tell the difference. So sometimes it's very refreshing if you meet somebody and you see what a talent means. Yeah. And in his case, the talent for languages is clear and it's there.
It sounds like a little fairy tale relationship.
So we are very happy, and I am happy that I'm serving in a country where the head of state is somebody with such a close relation to my own country.
And obviously, you've had the privilege to meet him when you got cited
presentation of credentials,
yes.
And during other events shortly. But and that's why I know that he speaks the way he speaks. So.
Excellent. So the relationship between Czech Republic and Cambodia, by relations and corporate, I have noticed you've done a few things over the years. And going forward?
Yeah, we were one of the first countries that entered into the diplomatic relations with independent Cambodia in 1956. And I would say that our mutual relations were sort of sinusoid. The heyday was clearly in 1960s. It was the time of great infrastructure projects, all the factories and hospitals and power stations, and we contributed to some dam here as well. Was there some scholarships, of course, and healthcare was present as well, and it was covered basically by the Treaty on Economic Cooperation. 1970s was the opposite. Our contacts were minimal, if any, and we returned in 1980, and it was different Cambodia already, and the stress was put more on humanitarian aspects. So we sent a lot of doctors here, and scholarships as well were provided, and big infrastructure projects, if any, it was more hospitals.
Okay.
Then we had these geopolitical changes at the end of 80s, beginning of 90s, including the division of Czechoslovakia. And the embassy here went to the Slovaks. And we left for 20 years and returned in 2013 in these premises. At that time, there was only a single person here for development aid. And but slowly it's been developing, and now, as you said, since the last 2 years, I'm the first Czech resident ambassador. Before it was done from Thailand. So, in a nutshell, this is the overview of our bilateral relations.
Do you have much of a community, a Czech community here?
Used to be more. Now we actually we don't know exactly, because people don't have the obligation to tell us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So we count on several dozens, not more than 100, my assessment. Yeah. But yes, there are some people living here. My view is a little bit distorted by the fact that first year and a half was COVID. Yeah. So you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't meet anybody. So yes, I'm new here, but still as if new. Yes.
So would that affect your time as ambassador? Because an average time is 3 to 4 years as in a position. So would your time be extended because of that COVID, or do you think it will stay the same?
This is individual.
Yeah.
So it depends on other factors as well. But yes, could be. I mean, the fact is that the flagship here of our activities is still the development aid. Yeah. All right. And we have 3 major branches, which is healthcare, education, and water and sanitation. And the projects are different, and I would say it could be from very basic hygienic needs to how to mitigate the bad consequences of the weather. Okay, quite sophisticated. In education, we provide some skills to people here on the spot. So if you are with your car somewhere in a faraway province and something happens, so you may be happy to find somebody that fixes the problem. And also we provide governmental scholarship for people to study in the Czech Republic.
Okay.
Still, it's been working.
Yep.
So this is what we try, and we had, for example, in the year 2021, we were engaged in 20 projects.
Yep.
And it's a whole science. They are bilateral, trilateral. You do it you're on your own with somebody else, with some other organization. It's more development-oriented, humanitarian-oriented, business-oriented. But altogether, they were about 20. So, so it's been working quite well. And I would like also to broaden the scope of our activities here.
Yeah.
Because I believe that both countries deserve more than to have just this development aid. Since we live in a materialistic society, so of course economy and business comes to your mind, and also politics, because before COVID, in October 2019, we had a visit by His Excellency the Prime Minister Hun Sen in the Czech Republic.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we had quite a lot of mutual visits on the level of deputy ministers or state secretaries, as they had them here. So there is something where we can continue, and yes, hopefully we will.
So in going forward, do you have any projects in the plannings coming up?
They are, but the visits usually you confirm
Yeah.
when you know by 100% that they are. And yes, I believe because Cambodia, for us as a country, I don't want to say that people have super thorough knowledge. But what is, in my view, more important than a simple knowledge is that they have instinctively positive feelings about it. So if you say Cambodia, even those people, they know the king.
Yeah.
This is for sure. But even if they know only that, so they have automatically positive attitude to this country.
Yeah.
So I don't see any obstacles why not to develop our relations to the extent where I would like to see.
Of course, you were here during COVID, the situation that hit the world unexpectedly, and it was a horrible situation for everyone. But I think with living in Cambodia at the same time, things seem to be a lot better here than other places. How do you think Prime Minister Hun Sen handled the COVID situation?
Well, if I look at this as an operation COVID-19, my assessment is that the Cambodians showed a lot of organizational skills. So they managed very well. And yes, so that was very positive. Yeah, to see that they can manage such a large-scale operation very, very well.
And also, they treated even foreigners as locals, and I think that played a big part too for ourselves. There was never anyone excluded.
No discrimination.
No discrimination, and I think that played a part in how things rolled out better.
Yeah.
You know, without having to worry who's who, and free, no charge. Don't have to worry about any things like that. And of course, it was still encouraging to take your second, third, fourth, even up now to the fifth dose. And what do you think about that, to keep getting a boosting shot?
Well, I myself, I had 3, and it's up to everybody to decide if who wants more or not, if it's positive for his immunity or not, because everybody has his own organism, and there should be some experts to tell you that, okay, yes, it's good for you or not, or this one yes, this one no. So
I think it's just down to like a common cold now, isn't it? It's just part of life. I think you get it now. You don't know if it's a cold or COVID because of being so healthy and taking these. Elections coming up soon in July, and the Prime Minister has been the longest serving in Cambodia, one of the longest serving in the world for quite a long time. 38 years, I think, from memory. And 42 as all in total. And with the CPP, head of CPP, he's looking at, well, it's been voted, he went to check for his son to become the next prime ministerial candidate or prime minister. How do you think he will go as a prime minister?
Well, I must say that I principally don't comment publicly on internal developments in the country where I serve. And to add to that, I really do not believe that the Cambodians need my advice, opinion, or guidance, who should become what. It's up to them to decide, and it's their country. So my role is here to do the maximum for the good relations between our two countries. So, and this is, I would leave to the Cambodians.
Yeah. Well, I had the privilege to do the Sangkrat elections, and of course speak to observers and everything else. So from what I can see, they're doing things by the book. Doing properly. Listen, observers are coming from all over the world to observe and things and moving forward. So since in the time you've been here, you've seen good changes and things happen to Cambodia over the last, that's only 2 years, and you've had COVID, but...
Well, Cambodia is open
to
me, so I could travel a bit. I tried, officially or privately. So I managed to go to the north, south, so just to see where I am. It's a beautiful country. To me, I am not a lover of mass tourism. So I'm quite happy that the mass tourism has not been developed here yet, probably. So we can still enjoy some privacy where you go. So yes, regarding more changes, I believe that at the end of my stay here, I will be more able to say something because, as I said, I mean, 2 years, a year and a half. I didn't know much. I didn't see much. Residents and the.
So you've travelled a lot over the last 20 years with being ambassadors, and home. Where do you think you could call home in the future? Would it be back in Czech Republic or one of the countries you were ambassador? Or is it still a long way to think about?
My home is the place where I am now. So this is the home, and of course that slowly I will have to devote some part of my ideas to my retirement. So the challenge will be to find a place which I like, and my wife, because we have to be in accordance, and to enjoy that, of course, because I'm quite sure that once I retire, I will not travel all the time. So that's why I have to find a place which I am going to like and to be happy there.
Do you think you could stay in the place because you've moved so much?
Yes.
Because I think sometimes when you're moving, it gets in your blood, and you think, well, after a while, okay, I'm over this now, move on. Or do you think you'll say, no, enough's enough?
Well, the fact is that you usually want something you don't have. So at the time when it was more difficult to travel, everybody was including me, dreaming of traveling here and there. Now I've been traveling more than enough. So again, I dream the opposite. So, but also the other experience I've made was that every decade of your life, you view your life differently. So when I was, as you mentioned, in Cyprus, and when I saw somebody retire, I said, okay, if I was in his place, I would do this or that. 10 years after, I changed my view, and now I see it again differently. So maybe in 10 years, which is the time when I'm about to retire, plus or minus, my views might change again.
Yeah.
So in this aspect, I would become more modest because not only your physical body, but even your mind changes in the course of time. So
hard to be a diplomat, hard to an ambassador. I mean, you were an advisor for a former advisor for a deputy minister, ambassador. Which one was a harder job?
excuse me, what?
Which one was a harder job, being an ambassador because you're a diplomat, or an advisor for a minister?
Okay, that's a good question. I would say that there is a difference between work in the headquarters and outside.
Yeah.
And outside between bilateral and multilateral diplomacy. And the basic difference is if you are in Prague, in my case, or if you serve in the embassy in a multilateral diplomacy, that the work is raining on you. The papers are coming to you. Okay, so you mostly respond. You are more reactive. Whereas if you are ambassador bilateral, of course, you get certain amount of assignments you have to do, no matter what. But still, there is more room for your own initiative.
Yeah.
So if you like to have a certain amount of freedom, to have a certain amount of initiative, certain space for materializing your own ideas, no matter what the result might be.
Yeah.
But then it's better to have a bilateral diplomacy. Those who like more multilateralism, as I say, this is different. And I say because when I entered the foreign ministry, I was in the multilateral department.
Okay. Yeah.
So I know what I'm talking about from my own practice. So this is the biggest difference. If you are advisor to somebody, it's better in a way that what is expected is you can have some inventions as well. So you place your view, and as I said, with bilateral diplomacy, you put it at a risk a little bit of your own initiative. Okay, either you succeed or not. But yeah, so this one I liked. So I like to have a certain space for myself where I can. Yeah.
Excellent. So, any advice for Cambodian people out there?
I'm not a man that bears any messages or giving advices, because again, another my experience is that even the grown-ups, they like to touch we say this is the fire that you want to touch it by yourself, basically. Yeah. So you don't listen as a child. Your parents said you don't touch this because you get burned. Yeah. You believed it's only in your childhood, but my experience is that even the grown-ups still like to do the same and to persuade myself. So I don't give anybody any advice or messages. And I believe people are, in general, intelligent enough to navigate their own life in the way they like, and my opinion is irrelevant in this case. Fair enough.
Thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
And all the best in the future. Okay. So there you have it, the ambassador for Czech Republic, Martin Varva, who just went and explained the special relationship between Czech Republic and the King, where he studied for such a long time and was fluent in Czech. And also some of the things they do together, bilateral, with projects. You've been watching EAC Insight. I'm Anthony Ellis. Thank you very much.